My name is Jim Raabe. I'm the athletic director and coach and physical education teacher at the Illinois School for the Visually Impaired, located in Jacksonville, Illinois. We're a school of about 75 to 80 students on campus at this present time. Students have to be visually impaired as their primary disability to be at our school. We have a 70% participation rate from junior high school up through 12th plus grade in terms of athletics and music and solo ensemble. And that includes all of our students, those that have multiple physical and mental impairments. So when we talk participation rates, we're talking absolutely every student that is eligible, regardless of disabilities. It's huge. Most of the students that we get are only at our school because they failed in the public school, at least from the schools that they came from. I'm not cutting down the public schools, but they failed there somehow or another. They failed physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. It usually occurs primarily in the junior high, because that's where in PE class projectiles are starting to get more in vogue in the PE classes. The blind students aren't very good at projectiles as a rule. It's also where athletics starts taking a larger portion or takes more center stage in terms of student self-concept, and they're not faring well in athletics and not being allowed to participate in athletics there as a rule. So they come to our school after they've been beat up in those areas. With our participation rates, they usually somehow get involved in athletics, and if not athletics, at least physical education class, which then hopefully leads to athletics for some of them. And you start seeing their self-concept start to develop, their friendships are developing, their social environment, everything starts to develop from there. And it's not just PE and athletics, but it's the environment. But PE has a huge role in that. My message pretty much is to extend your mission statement, for the IHSA to extend the mission statement to include, to help organize and provide opportunities for students with disabilities to participate in athletics, not just govern them. They will still have to govern them to make sure it's done correctly. So somebody with a knowledgeable base of what it takes to operate athletics, working with a knowledgeable base in the high schools, their athletic directors and their coaches, to make sure that the optimal experience that's provided is critical. They could be the leaders in the country, the world as far as that concerns, in this area. Athletics is such a huge part in the development of this child that they have to find a way to get it out in the forefront of those students and those teachers and those coaches to try and provide that. And that will include working with those organizations that are already out there. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the problem is some of those organizations still aren't widely known. The access to them is not readily available. If you're downstate, glass is not available. Some of these other organizations are more available in the big cities, not in the rural communities.
So in part, you see some of this as an opportunity, or there's an awareness issue, or communications challenge, or
it's both. As more and more stories come out in the newspapers about Lincoln Way had some blind golfer. Wow, maybe we can do that. Some PE teacher might say, wow, there's a blind golfer. We read about that, in the local newspaper. They actually put it on their website, and wow, we have this blind kid in class. Maybe we can teach them how to play golf in PE class. I mean, you're talking athletics 101. Start at the very basics. It should start at the home with mom and dad, but sometimes they aren't doing it. So what's the next step? The school. The school has to provide it. And if they have been providing it, I've been a PE teacher in a public school. It's pretty tough to have 60 kids in a class, and all of a sudden you got some disabilities thrown in the same, first place we're going to mainstream them is PE class and art class and music. Well, you got 60 kids, and now you have one that's going to have to require a lot of your attention. It's pretty tough to provide service for them and what they need and still be responsible for the other 59. So if you put them in adaptive PE, now they're isolated from the mainstream, which is counterproductive to what you're trying to accomplish. And if you get them onto an athletic team, now they're surrounded by like peers, and friendships develops and learning develops both ways. Aspirations get stronger and higher, and you have a win-win situation for absolutely everybody. In wrestling, we were able to get a bylaw change that allowed us, with the IHSA's permission on a yearly basis, to practice with the local public school. And the way that develops at ISVI is they first have to show that they're safe in wrestling, that they can just plain be safe under a very controlled environment from the coach. If they are safe there and then have the desire to push their skills to the next level, which we strongly encourage and most of them want to do, then they have to be able to attend a practice at the local high school. In this case, it would be Jacksonville High School. because, again, in the practice situation, you have a lot more control of the environment. You can stop the wrestling at any time. You don't have to worry about somebody being embarrassed. It's just a practice room. And from there, if they show that they're safe, then we'll let them compete against public schools representing the ISVI, and just like any other wrestler, but we're still allowed to practice with them. Because, again, at the ISVI, our numbers are so low, it's pretty hard to have a lightweight practice against a coach who's 160 pounds. It's not fair to them, pretty tough to learn. At the same time, it's not fair for that heavyweight to practice against the coach who's 160 pounds. So to put them in the public school, it just makes sense. Is there an advantage there? No, no more advantage than the kid who's already in the public school. Everybody usually has a practice partner. Wrestling coaches, as a rule, won't mind it unless the kid is of a quality that says, wow, that's an unfair advantage because the kid's already good. But in truth, wrestling is probably one of the leading sports, and will take you any way you are as long as you're willing to work. So wrestling does a great job with that. In cross country, IHSA worked well with us in terms of allowing us to use a sighted guide, allowing us to use sunglasses or hats if we needed to, and to run a cross country race. But at our school, track is in the fall, so it's no problem running cross country. But we cannot run IHSA track without being in violation of the rules. If I have a student that is at that level, I can not have them participate on our track team and then do track in spring, or I'm sure I could get permission from the IHSA, say, can we compete against the IHSA schools in the spring, but just not do the state tournament series? I'm sure they would be fine with that. But I'm also using those public school track athletes if they're at the ISVI on the swim team, so I can't be at two places one time. So some of it's problematic in our school, and some of it is just we have to have the athlete that has a desire to want to do that. I think they're doing the right things right now by having this panel discussion they had today and try and get information. The next thing is to try not to invent the wheel and think, and also think outside the box. So there are Paralympics. Look at what the Paralympics are doing. I'm sure all those athletes would like to be in the regular Olympics. In some cases, they are in the regular Olympics. So what are they doing there? How does that work? But even in the Olympics, you're not seeing the Paralympics at the exact same time as the Olympics. It's not, here, let's do a 100-meter dash in the Olympics. Now let's do the 100-meter Paralympics. I'm sure everybody would like to, not everybody, but I'm sure a lot of people might want to see that, but they have their own separate Paralympics after the Olympics. To create that stage for the IHSA would be absolutely fantastic to get a starting point to figure out. There's a lot of philosophies you can use. You can use the emerging sport or the emerging event status. You might have to adjust the numbers, but the IHSA, if they can take the lead to try and create the participation, then they can revisit what do we need to do to now make it more of a competition for them. But thinking outside the box, it doesn't have to be limited just to Illinois. It doesn't have to be limited to your own school. And it could be, if you're talking disabilities, why not involve the servicemen and women who are coming back with disabilities? You know, if it was good for them when they were students, and that's what they're missing out on right now, but I can't find a better way to get them involved and recovering from whatever they're dealing with than to find out that they can still do things and still have fun, especially with others that are not disabled, that they're just a person that some are short, some are tall, some have prosthetics. They're just another person. Yeah, championships are great, but you first have to get the student involved. And from there, once they're involved, most people, want to win. Man's made competitive to begin with. You'll have issues with trying to create a championship at the same time that you have a so-called able-bodied championship. Why did they have an automatic bid to the state when this other person had to go through a series of qualifications to get there? Egos are necessary to a certain degree, but at the same time they conflict. So if people can throw egos out the window and look at what is best for the students, or the student in particular, and then grow from there. Who knows how it's going to manifest itself in the long run, but the attributes of athletics are as critical, if not more critical, for the students with disabilities than they are for the able-bodied, in my opinion.